It's not a normal world, it's Taskmaster world. And did say in the last video that the podcast will go on a little break whilst I try and recreate international Taskmaster tasks. But fear not, something exciting has happened. And so today I'm here doing a new episode. Now, today we are going way back to last year to talk about Series 1, Episode 3 of Taskmaster New Zealand with the one, the only David Correos.
Hello. Hello. Hi,
So,
Tom. Thank you so much for having me.
you're welcome. So you are on the Reddit sphere are what you and Ursula are the most popular ones out of your series. Believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a YouTuber called Jamie Does TV, and she she made a whole video of series 2, and she absolutely adored you the entire series. She could not stop saying good things about you.
Oh, fantastic. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so lovely to hear, Tom. Thank you for reporting that back to me.
You're welcome. Now, one of my favorite things that any Taskmaster contestant though, but this never happened before, is how you were so apologetic on the rap task. You decided to just give them a present, Ursula and Matt.
Yeah. Well, you heard what I said, Tom. I'd be very, obviously what I'd said required an apology. Would you not? Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, but how much money did you spend on the gift?
Oh, I gotta keep that a secret. I ain't gonna. The gossip. It's the gossip talk. It's the gossip channel. I got it. They were from the Mad Butcher, so there would have been about like $20, $20
Wow.
each for a tray.
Well, you're one of the most. It's like no contestant has ever felt so bad because it's like so much has happened in the Taskmaster history that there is moments where there's moments where you have to, where you should apologize, but that is just like, so it's just really good of you to do that.
Thank you.
And on the live show, it's a live stream type thing where you streamed on Twitch and on YouTube from Guy Montgomery's YouTube channel and Laura Daniels' Twitch, where you watched the episode. You mentioned that Paul Chowdhury was your favorite UK contestant. Why do you like Paul Chowdhury so much on Taskmaster?
I love the research you put in, Tom. I love that you've watched the stuff and you know the hard hitting questions to ask. And I think Paul Chowdhury is my favorite because he's the complete opposite to me. So when I am watching someone on TV or watching someone perform, I always am in awe with people who can do what I can't do. So I think he's so different to me. But he did the show so well.
And I saw him. He did an interview last night with Russell Howard on Russell Howard's TV show, and you see when he's trying to technically be himself, but still not his exact self. He's still rather funny, and he's one of those comedians that needs to be more popular, like yourself. He needs to be more popular.
Oh, Paul Chowdhury is pretty popular. I'm pretty sure Paul Chowdhury's sold out Wembley.
Oh yeah,
He's super huge.
Yeah. Well, he said in the interview last night that his new shows that he's doing sold out in 3 or 4 seconds.
I don't know what you consider fame, bro, but if you're selling out a show in 3 or 4 seconds, you're pretty famous. I'm not pulling out those numbers.
That is quite famous, and not many people can sell out in a matter of seconds because not everyone. Because it's like when you have to be on the ball when you're trying to buy tickets. Because if you know they're gonna sell out, you have to get your finger on the pulse. Well, on the button. I won't want my finger on the pulse trying to buy tickets.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, bro. Like 2 years ago, I did a show and I get a call from my manager, and he says to me, "David, we've sold 4 tickets to your show that's in 4 days' time. We need to figure." And by give you an idea, there was about 120 seats in the room, so I had to sell 120 tickets. I had 3 days before the show was gonna open, and so the moment I got that email, I went onto Facebook and I went went live on Facebook and I streamed for 53 hours and I said I wouldn't get off Facebook until I sold 80 tickets.
Wow.
And so I live streamed for 53 hours straight, leading up to a show that was in like 72 hours. And it was, yeah, I sold tickets. But, that just to show you the spectrum of Paul's career and my career, we're definitely...
Well, I reckon after Taskmaster New Zealand, your career will go in the good direction that it needs to, because
I'm hoping for it.
You've got fans worldwide. Like literally, it's probably I don't know where the countries stop, but it is worldwide because episodes and things and everything has been shared on the Reddit, on the whatchamacallit, and on whatever.
Speaking of like where the world ends.
Yeah.
I reckon the world ends around between Brazil and New Zealand. You know what I mean? Like you never get a plane that flies directly from Brazil. I feel like it would save a lot of time, but I don't really hear about much planes going that way. They always go through like the UK and then LA to get to New Zealand. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, I reckon that's where the world ends. Brazil and New Zealand. No one's ever reported. Just want to reiterate that.
Right. So, what was your favorite task to film?
My favorite task to film was probably the sunscreen. I reckon the sunscreen was because I'd built myself up the whole time that I was gonna do really well, and I was like this water slide's gonna be incredible, and then by the time I screwed it up, I was like, oh, this couldn't have gone any worse. And I think the fact that it got so bad is what made it my favorite task. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I quite liked how in the live stream they mentioned how it was supposed to be a tiebreaker task, but then you had gone to such a level and then removed the bucket, and then it all linked in, and they had to make it a proper thing, and that is just brilliant. That's brilliant how it was supposed to be a tiebreaker task, because you can tell it was supposed to be, but you would just like chuck it out the park, and they couldn't use it as tiebreaker because it got too involved in the whole episode. It's just
I think that's a massive compliment towards the writers of the show. The people that write these tasks, the people that decide who's going to be on it. I think everyone who made season 2 really dialed in what they wanted to do this year. So I think everything just they were set up for some really weird fails to happen.
Yeah. And when you got the call to be on series 2, did you just say yes straight away and not hesitate, or did you think I might do
no, yes. I have to pay rent, Tom. I have to pay rent, and these shows pay my rent. So I'm still at the stage where I say yes to most things.
Well, it gets you out there, and you become more popular because you're everywhere, and you probably get more, has to be on more programs. You'll probably ended up being on Are You Paying Attention and many other, and who knows, because you have got a profile on the British Comedy Guide, you might end up being on a British panel show at some point.
I'm really hoping, Tom. I'm really hoping you're maybe it's like full-time podcaster, part-time, psychic. I really hope that your predictions are right.
Yeah, because I think you'll be hilarious on QI. You as
I'm dumb. I'm really dumb. Though.
You don't have to be as like James Acaster was on it last night, and he couldn't open the briefcase, and everyone else could.
Yeah, but James Acaster is like smart. He's like smart. He's smart. Everyone else is a lot smarter and a lot more cunning than they seem. There's a big old Dumbo hanging around. Keeping it up.
Yeah. So we'll crack on with the episode now.
Let's do it.
With the prize task was to bring in the least useful item.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think the least useful item that should have got 5 points was Guy's broken smoke alarm, because that's pretty useless. Because what are you going to do with a smoke alarm once it's broken?
And do you know the story behind that smoke alarm?
No.
So that smoke alarm. So the reason why that task was very funny to Kiwis is because the like a couple of months before they shot Taskmaster New Zealand, one of the biggest convention centers in Auckland burnt down in the Auckland CBD because a worker had left like a tool on that had like some kind of fire. I forgot what he left on, but it burnt down a whole building, and so that was all really fresh in our minds. And so, as a collective country, we were like, "Yep, that smoke alarm was pretty useless because
Wow.
it did millions and millions of dollars of damage."
I mean, knowing that story now, it's more impressive that he managed to
Mm.
get it onto the show with a prize more than anything else.
Yes, that's why I agree as well. I think guys, smoke alarm was also yeah. I think that should have won 5 points.
Yeah. And then Madeline Sami, or Mads, as Jeremy
Mhm.
calls her, had a robot vacuum cleaner. Have you ever used
Mhm.
one of those?
I've never had myself the honor of using a Roomba before, but I have seen YouTube videos where they tape knives to Roombas and they have like Roomba wars. Have you seen that?
Well, I've never seen the videos, but at home we used to have one, but it was more amusing because the dogs would chase after it. It's
Oh
dogs
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
a robot, and they're not very good anyway because they break after a while because they get stuck, and then you have to try and pick them up and unstuck
That
them.
is pretty. What you're describing right now sounds pretty useless, if you
Yeah,
ask me.
it's. I mean, it's far easier to get a Dyson vacuum cleaner and just vacuum the floor.
Bro, I reckon we go even more. We go even more like stay away from this like machinery. I think like just dustpan and broom. Dustpan, broom, and a knife. Just hack at the floor, scrape all the stuff off. You
Like,
can't beat it.
like Cinderella.
Yeah. Exactly like Cinderella.
Yeah.
That's the one. Like Cinderella with my glass
Yeah.
shoes and my broom and dustpan.
Yeah. And then Angela brought in some inappropriate chapstick, which will leave. And then Lee brought in a nozzle, which is the end of a hose pipe,
Mm.
which it's useless. But if you got sellotape, you could probably tape it back together to the rest of the hose.
Yeah. But now it's like it's leaking as well because like
Uh,
not only cause if like here's what you could do. You could go to Bunnings. You go to Bunnings warehouse. You could get a new hose connector and boom, it's brand new again.
yeah. And it's quite. I think it's like sums up Lee very well having a nozzle because he seems like the type of person that would you just see him in the back garden with a broken nozzle,
Mm.
just like trying to spray his garden down but missing it completely.
Yeah, just trying to get it to work. Lee's a funny
Yeah,
character. I'm a big fan of Lee.
yeah. And then Brindley also brought in another very useless item, but also non-family friendly. So the YouTube lords will never know what it is. I bow.
Oh.
I bow. And so after that, Guy got three points, Angela
Mhm.
got 3 points, Madeline got 1 point, Lee got 3 points, and Brindley got 3 points. Now, do
Mhm.
you disagree with that? Because I think Guy should have got 5 points.
Yeah, I agree. I think Guy should have gone 5 points as well.
Yeah, because it is really useless. Because it's not like the winner's gonna go home and be able to just connect it back up to their home system and get it working again. It's
Yeah, exactly. And no one would, and like, you can't even have it as like a prized position in your house because if you show it, people are like, oh no, that's a very bad, like, that's not a good smoke alarm. That's a terrible smoke alarm.
yeah.
It's got history. It's also got bad history. It paints you bad as a person. You're
Mm.
terrible.
Yeah, and then we move on to task one. Now, task one is the worst task in this episode because of it being the one that is a nightmare to talk about on the family-friendly YouTube channel. Oh.
Oh. Okay, let's give this another shot. I want to give this another shot. Okay, so they were trying to make a tree look beautiful, but like
Yeah.
nighttime beautiful, Not like this daytime beautiful when you're walking around in the daytime, you're like, wow, they're beautiful. It's like nighttime, and you're like, oh, wow, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They were nighttime beauty.
And it's and there was a lot of things happened, but The only family friendly thing that happened that was
Mm-hmm.
hilarious was Madeline. She decided to play cricket.
Mm.
Just and
Yeah.
I quite like how she was very focused in the role of her character.
Yeah. Well, she's an actor. She's bringing all that acting skill to the table, baby.
Are you very good at cricket? Do you play cricket at
No,
all?
I do not. I do not. I think okay. I don't want to offend anyone who listens, but I think cricket is the most boring way to spend your time ever. Watching, playing, talking. Not a fan.
No, it takes too many days. It takes too many days.
It's so many days. 3 days. Why should I take 3 days to play a whole game?
I'm just concerned that none of them are going to the bathroom enough.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you're playing a game for that long and you're not getting tired, shouldn't you be playing the game faster? Like, shouldn't you be trying a bit harder?
But yet again, it plays on the heartstrings of Jeremy Wells, being a cricket fan himself. It plays.
Matt's played it very well.
A very soothing sound of the violin of love.
Love.
And I think Lee was sort of when Lee to me felt a lot like Matt did in series 2. Lee and Matt had a similar outputting thing, but Matt had more of a better connection to Jeremy than Lee did, because Matt having his radio show and his podcast.
Yeah, I think they're all kind of part of like in the way New Zealand comedy works. They're all part of like the same kind of like group of comedians. Do you know what I mean? And they've all done their kind of their own kind of certain things. Have you seen the show Late Night Big Breakfast?
No, don't think
it's got Jeremy Wells and it's got Lee Hart, and they do a breakfast show at nighttime in a furniture store.
It's wow. Do they eat breakfast in this nighttime breakfast?
No, it's like when you wake up and you got like TV going on in the background, and it's normally like it's that white-haired guy and the blonde woman, and they're all talking, and they've got the Italian guy that does funny things. What's that show called?
I'm not sure.
What's it called? It's the guy with the white hair, the guy with the white hair, and the lady with the blonde hair, and the Italian man. What is that show called?
Oh, This Morning.
This Morning. That's the kind of show that they're making.
Yeah, because that was Philip. Because I blanked Philip Schofield. I blanked his name because I don't. That is This Morning is probably what you because it's This Morning is one of those shows where you watch it and you think that then something's not right there. They're not a full shilling in the morning because they laugh too much.
Yeah. They're too awake. So what Jeremy and Lee did was they made that kind of show, but they do it at night. It's at nighttime. So it's on nighttime TV.
So is that like 10 p.m.?
Yeah. It's called Late Night Big Breakfast.
Well, I'll be sure to check that out, and I quite like how they got away with copyright there with adding the late night, because there's a program in the UK was called Big Breakfast.
Oh.
And so they got away with copyright there because Channel 4 did it with Chris Evans.
Well, let's not show this podcast to Channel 4 because we don't want that to get cancelled,
Well, Channel 4 probably won't cancel it because they now own Taskmaster, so that they've got Alex on their side.
All good.
So the scores for that task was Lee had 2 points, Angela got 1, Brindley got 5, Madeline got 4, and Guy got 3. Which meant the episode scores so far was Lee 5, Angela 4, Brindley 8, and Madeline 5, and Guy 6. Now, task 2 for the first team task. Now, I think the teams in series 2 were a lot better than the teams in series 1, because I think you.
I don't think we need to compare it. I don't know if we need to compare that. Well, it should be all good.
I just think that you and Guy and Laura,
Laura.
I got a name for a second. Laura, we're really a really good team together.
Thank you.
Because when I was interviewing Ursula on the podcast, she was saying how you were all in your own like sort of like improv type group.
We're all part of this. We're all part of this improv group called Snort, which Laura and Guy have been part of for ages, but I only joined in last year.
Wow! And no, when I found that out and then watching the final episode of series 2, you see how well done and how connected your brains are together, and you just go, oh, we know what we're doing. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make it massive, and we need more of that.
I'll be
Involved in
honest,
the
Tom.
show.
I'll be honest, Tom. When we were doing it, that is not how it felt. that puppet show that we did was the second task we did of that day, and we didn't like. I remember what they didn't show was the prep. So I think we had 45 minutes to make the puppet show, and we spent. I think we got up to 25 minutes, and nothing had happened. We were still like, we don't know what this is. Oh no. And then we finally all just came together. We all just set ourselves different roles. So I made puppets, Laura did music, Guy added education to the show. And then we just winged it. And then because our editors are so good, they managed to pull something out of it.
Yeah. And that's what's brilliant about the show. It's just, no matter how the prep goes, you can always find something and put it together to make it really fun and energetic. And that's what's incredible about Taskmaster itself, is that no matter how useless a person is, it's still entertainment and it's still worth watching. So you might not like a comedian, but you might get a different point of view of that comedian on the show, because you see a different side to everyone. You don't see the exact same. You know, so like Josh Whittaker could be on The Last Leg doing one thing, but then he's on Taskmaster, and you see him in a whole new different light because he's been put in these situations that you don't know of what's going on. And one of the things that I loved about this series 2 was how they gave you a solo task to untie like I think it was like shoelace or rope. Was it rope?
Oh, shoelaces.
Yeah, shoelaces.
Yeah,
And it was really funny because later that week I was untying a load of rope that was all tied together, which made me laugh because it just made me think of you just sat there for 2 hours trying to untie all of this, and I was all the small little bits. I'm like,
I only found this out a couple of days ago, but the guys who were in the art department, the people who set up the shoelace task, it took them close to, I think it took them like 12 hours just to set up all of the shoelaces, have them all tied up and have them all placed, because having to tie them up and put them to make it look like a spider web was hell in itself. So I felt really good knowing that I didn't break anything and I actually did it, because it's like the art departments are the ones who truly suffered.
Well, I'm glad that they only had to say it once, not multiple different times, because they would have just been attacked. So now we're on to task 2, and they had to catch the grape with this tuber from the furthest distance. You may not throw the grape. Now, what did you think of this task?
I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was funny how badly Angela and Lee did, and how well Brindley, Guy, and Mads got together. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I just think that Guy, Brindley, and Mads did it really well and was just so organized. But Lee and Angela just had no clue what was going on. Couldn't just went, ugh. There you go.
Which I think made for the best comedy. I think it was so it's just what you were saying before.
Yeah.
You know, you're put into a position where you're like, I don't know how to do this, but and they make it all so funny.
Yeah, and it worked so well with Angela's style of comedy, how she was portrayed on this series. It's how she portrayed it worked so well with her being like, I'm clueless, I don't know what's going on, I'll just chuck something together. I'll be awkward around Paul. I'll try and make him feel really awkward and look like he's not enjoying.
I think that's a real true testament to Angela and Lee. They're both very great comics, and being able to muddle the line of what's comedy and what's real. But I think it's just they're both they've got very distinct styles, and I thought it was such a great pairing to have them two.
And Lee was really funny in this episode as well, because later on he decided just to make a random noise out of nowhere before he actually opened the task. It's you don't expect that from someone, but then that's just comedy as itself, just making up random noises.
What was it? That's what I think I remember he did.
Yeah, and what
was that task? What was?
I think it was. I think the actor I'm not. I think it was something to do with Summer. It was some task, It's later on. We'll get on. I think
Oh, so it's not. It's in this episode though, isn't it?
yeah, it's in this
Yeah,
episode
yeah, yeah. Okay.
because it just came out of nowhere. You just don't expect it. It just
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
It just happens. So,
All right, what's next?
so with the team task, which we'll say before we go into the scores, I quite like how Jeremy had to ask Paul, why did we not center her playing We Are the Champions? Because it did not, when Brindley played it, because it did not sound like We Are the Champions at all.
No.
And none of them were very good at playing the instrument itself. I wouldn't be very good at it either. It's a hard instrument. It's. Are you very musically talented?
No. I'm musically appreciative. I appreciate music.
So out of the scores for that, team 1, which was Mad Sky and Brindley, got 5 points, and team 2, which was Angela and Lee, only got 3 points. Now we move on to task 3. Task 3 was a task that was a nightmare because I wasn't trying to spell pinata, and I magically spelled it correctly, which was patting the pinata with the most surprising thing.
Yes.
And that was the one where Lee decided to make the random noise because Paul wasn't knocking about.
Yes.
And which one was your favorite pinata?
I think I'd have to go with Brindley. Brindley's very violent, gruesome pinata was great, and I thought it really showcased her acting chops.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah,
all of her crying for Fabio.
I could see her now in an episode of Shortland Street. That's where her career will go next.
Did you know that she is on Shortland Street right now?
Is she?
Yeah, she's actually on Shortland Street right now. Tom, your future powers are working backwards. Wow. You're giving me facts about the past and the future.
I did not know that because the UK stopped showing Shortland Street like years ago, which is so sad because we've still got Home and Away and Neighbours, but we've just not got enough room apparently.
Yeah,
for Shortland Street, which is quite sad. But I really did like Brindley's attempt because it was unexpected. It was just unexpected. But Lee did something rather funny because he tried to hurt Paul, but it failed spectacularly. And it's funny because I think Paul was a little bit too rough with the actual pinatas because he broke what Angela played because he put that album in it and sort of like glass. Do you reckon Paul's a little bit too violent sometimes?
Nah, I think that boy's real soft. I think he's a real soft, sweet boy deep down.
Yeah.
In that moment, though, I think the cricket overtook him and he just went. I think he's a sports boy. That's what he was. And he saw the pinata as a target and he went hard.
Yeah. He went.
That's the one, baby.
Yeah. And Lee reminds me now watching series to remind me of how Matt used to just randomly play music in any opportunity, and Lee just decides to randomly. And I don't know whether they use the exact same prop, but they look like the exact same guitar that they've both used. And it's rather weird now watching this series back and having seen the second one, knowing that both of them are musically talented and they both now just randomly whip out the guitar in any moment. Please play some Mexican melody, which is because I'm learning the guitar at the moment. It's quite hard to play any melody that's very technically needed on the guitar chops, shall we say? Because but do you like Lee how he just randomly whips out the guitar?
Yeah, I love it when Lee whips it out. It's always a good time.
Yeah. Now, one thing that people didn't like about Series 1 was how Guy Williams kept on randomly standing up and making sure that everyone was clapping all the time. Did you think that got a little bit annoying after a while?
No, I think that's just Guy. That's just Guy being Guy.
Yeah.
But it might have, just Guy. Yeah.
And then for that task, the scores were Lee got 2, Angela got 5, Brindley got 2, Madeline got 3, and Guy got -1, which is, I think, the first ever minus score that's ever happened in Taskmaster history around the world, because I've never seen a single version that's ever used minus points,
Oh, that's great.
which means the episode score so far, before we go into the live task, is Lee on 10, Angela on 12, Brinley on 15, Madeline on 13, and Guy on 10. Now the live task was you had to write down a sport, an animal, and a color, and then they had to pose in that pose, which is for color, it's quite hard. Now, if you were doing that live task, what animal, color, or sport would you have written down?
What if I told you, Tom, I did that task?
Did you?
I did that task. Because before they did the filming of the show, they have to test every live task. Because live tasks, there's so many things that can go wrong. So they get someone in to try the tasks out. And so what they did was they called me the year before, and they made me try out all the live tasks, and I was their guinea pig to try. And I think that's actually what got me on Taskmaster.
Yeah,
was because they used me as a guinea pig to try figure out the live task. So I think I can't remember that well, but I think I picked the color purple, and I tried to look like royalty because I associate the color purple with royalty. I think that's like goes back to like Roman Greek times because it was a hard color to find. So, and that was really tough. I remember just screwing that one up really badly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really interesting that because I don't think I've ever heard that before. Anyone actually like trying out the live task before, but that actually makes sense of getting someone to test them, to make sure they're doable.
I'm pretty sure Phil Wang. I think Phil Wang was also the guy for the UK Taskmaster.
Wow.
I think he tried the live tasks.
Wow. Well, to be fair, Phil Wang, you need to make sure that he's capable of doing the task because he is a loose cannon.
Well, I vibe with him a lot. You know, we're both loose cannons, baby.
Yeah. He's a loose cannon, and I think Taskmaster boosts people's careers a lot because like since Taskmaster, Phil got his own Netflix special, and I think like you probably end up getting your own Netflix special like probably in the next 2 to 3 years.
Oh, I think it's very far away, Tom. But again, I'm hoping your powers. I'm wishing.
I'm hoping I'm right. So the live task in the end, from what I had written down notes wise, was Guy did brilliant in this task. Guy was the best in this task, so I wrote the same thing down twice because that's how good he was. I think a color is quite hard to pose for because colors are like colors, but I quite like how Brindley at one point pointed at Angela's dress because that's a color. And that's still a pose because your finger is still a pose and you're still posing with your little finger. So if
absolutely correct.
Be white, I would point at my own collar because it's a white collar.
And if I wanted to do black, I'd point at my hair.
Yeah, and it's like it's better than like making like a weird shape. But you could
true.
You could like make the first letter out your body. So like pink, you could try and make a P.
Yeah, make a P. But then you're stuck with purple. You also got what else you got? Yellow. Yeah. All those P colors.
There's this. I think purple and pink are the only P related colors I can think of. I don't think there's very many other P related colors which someone needs to make new colors. So the live task,
more PP colors.
Yeah. So the live task scores were a 1 for Lee, 0 for Angela, 5 for Brinley, 6 for Mads, and 3 for Guy. So which left the series scores so far for the episode was 43 for Lee, 40 for Angela, 51 for Brinley, 51.5 for Mads, and 33 for Guy. So the final episode scores was Lee had 11, Angela had 12, Brinley had 20, Mads had 18, and Guy had 13, which made the episode winner with 20 points, Brinley Stint. Now, I'll say this because I quite like this, but Brinley's series outfit is brilliant. Now, I myself are a member of the UK Scouts, and neckerchiefs are used for so much, and I think Taskmaster is a perfect place for using it, and it shows in this task. When they were doing the trumpet team task, they used her necker as a slingshot.
Mm.
And
It's a
it's
great
very
item to
clever.
just always have on you.
Yeah. Now, I want to know, how did you come up with your team task? I mean, you're not team task, your series outfit.
Or I wanted to have something kind of versatile that I could also like run in. So I got inspired by Master Roshi from Dragon Ball Z. So I took his, and he wears white shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, and he also has a big turtle shell on his back and a big stick. But obviously they could not get me the turtle shell or stick, so I went with a pair of boots instead. And I thought it was like a nice balance between like versatile, but also like ready for any kind of like, I was like, am I gonna get muddy? I didn't want to get like, I don't want to be walking
Yeah.
around in jandals, like getting my toes all dirty. So I picked some Timberlands.
Well, you look really comfortable and you look ready to be on holiday.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want ready on holiday, ready for the beach, but also ready for the tram.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think what you did really well was the comedy aspect of it all. You were there, and every moment you were on screen, you were making everyone laugh, including myself, and it is really, really funny. And it's really interesting because before seeing this series, I didn't know any of the series 1 or series 2 contestants. But now I've seen it, I know so much, and I'm there now Googling, watching things, and listening to Guy's podcast, to Ursula's podcast. And it's really interesting. Now, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it anywhere, but do you have your own podcast?
No, I'm not a podcaster myself,
Oh,
but my thing is I stream on Twitch. I have a Twitch channel called David Post Office, and that's where I make most of my content these days.
Yeah.
I've tried, like I've done a few podcasts. We're doing one right now, but I feel like I never really was able to express myself to like to show my best version of me through podcasting.
Yeah.
And I find that streaming personally is my favorite way to get out
Well,
there.
I think it's very unique the way you do your streaming, where you go to the post office and post something in the post box.
Yeah. Well, people love it. People love watching me deal with the mail. They like me taking in the mail. They like me delivering the mail. They like it when I'm the mail. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check that out.
Yeah. Now the final question before we get on to the format of the podcast. What was the history behind the name of your Twitch account, David Post Office?
Oh, well, my last name is Correos, and Correos in Spanish means post office.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you go to Spain, you'll see my last name in all the mailboxes.
that's quite clever. Now, what Ed Gamble does on the official podcast, which is what I steal every time I get a guest on board, is rate your experience on the podcast from 1 to 5.
I'll give this a 5.
Really?
Yes, I've had a fun time, Tom. Thank you very much for having me.
If I had, which I should start doing very soon, I should tally all these points up, because so far, for viewers who have been watching this and listening to it, so far the guests I've had on board are Sam Smith from New Zealand, who is a task writer. Very first guest, he got in contact with me. Then I got Ursula Carlson. Then I got the Swedish Taskmaster Babin Larsson. Then I got David. Now, who is next? Who knows? And time will only tell. I've enjoyed myself. And David enjoyed himself, didn't you?
Love that.
Now, for people that want to see your stand-up, where can they see your stand-up? Is there any clips of it online?
No, there are not any clips. Nah, no, none of my stuff is family friendly. So, and you understand that, Dom, it's it's a tough time, YouTube, it's always censoring us. So, I don't have anything up on there. But if you want to see me, follow me on David Post Office on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of my own content. Like, it's all made by my girlfriend. She makes all of my memes.
Well, hope you guys have enjoyed listening to this riveting interview, and I have enjoyed myself too. And as Strictly Come Dancing always says, or if you listen to this internationally, as Dancing with the Stars always says. And remember, keep tasking.
Keep tasking.
All right, bye. I don't know
See
what that
ya.
word was.
Hello everyone, please subscribe to Taskmaster World.